Right, oh, the leg. We're actually legless now on the channel. We've actually got no flipping legs. The same could be said for some of the players on the pitch last night. Anyway, Stamford Bridge, shut up, alright? Keep your mouth shut and we won't fall out today. I'm already a bit pissed off. Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to 6 things that we learned from Chelsea 0, Valencia 1 in the opening match of the group stages last night. Some of you guys may have already watched it, but a lot of you won't have. I uploaded the match vlog at 8 in the morning this morning, which is very, very different in terms of an upload time. It's not the best time to upload a video. I get it. People are on the way to work. People are going to school, people are in school, people are at work. 8 o'clock in the morning, I know it isn't an optimum time. My laptop, just to add insult to injury yesterday, my flipping laptop screen is burnt out. So I was there trying to edit the video after the game to get it uploaded as soon as possible for you guys, and I couldn't even do that, which is a little bit of a nightmare. It meant that the vlog was late, so I apologise for that, but I stayed up till 6 this morning to make sure you guys had it in your sub box at 8. So if I look like I didn't sleep, it's because I didn't sleep. That's pretty self-explanatory. But anyway, as you can see on the screen, this is by far the worst in terms of most negatives in the 6 Things We Learned series so far this season. Even way back in pre-season when performances were very slow, we weren't playing at our best, there were a lot more greens and yellows than there are on this screen right now. 1 green, 1 yellow, and sadly, but importantly for us all to address it, 4 reds that we're going to go through today. Now, as I said, if you haven't checked out the match vlog, it's one of the best ones I think we've done. It was another beautiful day in London yesterday. The sky was blue, the result wasn't blue. The result was very much in favour of that of Valencia, the white, the orange. And I spoke to a guy called Sergei before the game, and his prediction was absolutely incredible. We did it on camera. He said if the game was still 0-0 at 60 minutes, Valencia would go on and win, and he was correct. Chelsea are beaten, and we have got a mountain to climb now already in the Champions League group. I literally, just before I recorded this, secured my tickets for Lille away, so match vlog coming from France. That's going to be a fun one, and it is now a must-win game for Chelsea. However, we're going to start this video with a positive, and that positive is for Kayo Tomori. Yet again, he started for Chelsea last night, and in a match where there wasn't very many positives, obviously the outcome of the game, the result was bad, and the performance in general. We'll go into it a little bit later. But yet again, we saw a maturity yesterday from Fikayo Tomori, which suggests that although we do need to strengthen at the back, he's a player that's come through the academy who hasn't cost us any money, and it could save us £50 million in terms of having to buy another world-class centre-back for the future at Chelsea. I'm not saying that Tomori is at a level of world-class just yet, but in terms of the promise that this kid shows, he was a great performer last night for Chelsea in a game where there wasn't really much to shout about. It was quite difficult to do a match vlog as well because it was just so predictable. It was boring at times, the match last night. Tomori's performance was good. I think defensively he was very sound. The way he spreads the ball 40, 50 yards, it was absolutely brilliant. He's confident on the ball and he is a massive positive moving forward for Chelsea Football Club. So point number 2 and the yellow box on the screen. I'm giving Willian a yellow. I think as an attacking outlet yesterday, he was the only player really offering anything, and Pedro came on for Mason, who, well, it was a ridiculous tackle. We'll get into that later in this video. Mason Mount goes off, and the only real person who was making runs, trying to get in around the back was Willian. We couldn't find Tammy Abraham because the service to him was poor, and I've given Willian a yellow because even though you can see that Willian is trying very hard, he doesn't leave anything on the field in terms of effort and determination to win the ball, get into the positions, but his end product is just not good enough. We've said it for his entire Chelsea career. He's a player that can have moments of brilliance. We see that Brazilian magic every once in a while, but the end product is just not consistent enough. And last night, when we're looking around the team for players to make a difference, Willian's got it in his locker, but he doesn't bring it out anywhere near often enough, and it isn't good enough at this level for Chelsea. If we're going to win games in the Champions League, Valencia is a team we should be beating. They're a team that were in utter turmoil and chaos before the game. They come to Stamford Bridge, and they make us look even more awful than they were. Valencia weren't good last night. I'm not going to sit here and say to you, we were beaten by the better team. We weren't beaten by the better team. In terms of the way the game of football was played, I feel both teams are very evenly matched. I think that Valencia won the match through Kondogbia controlling the game in the middle. And if we're going to get hypothetical about things and we're going to make excuses, I will say that if N'Golo Kante was in the Chelsea team yesterday, I think it would have nullified that controlling operation that Kondogbia had in the middle of the park for Valencia. Chelsea central midfielders weren't up to it. Willian was bright, but we're going to move into point number 3, and we're going to talk about Frank Lampard. And obviously you guys know Frank is my hero. I absolutely love Frank Lampard, but as I've said millions of times on this channel and over the years of making football videos about Chelsea, I've always said that although as football fans we can be very reactionary and we can get things wrong based off of seeing things for the first time, I think what we saw last night from Frank was some really poor tactical decisions, and I wouldn't be being true to myself and I wouldn't be being true to you guys if I didn't point that out. Despite my bias and love for Frank and the project he's got going on right now, last night he got it wrong. And I was saying throughout the entirety of the first half, the reason Tammy Abraham has got his goals is because he's been getting himself involved in the game. Last night he wasn't dropping deep enough to try and win the ball, and every time the ball came anywhere near him, he had 2 men on him for Valencia and no one supporting him to be able to offload it to either one of Willian or Pedro. So Tammy was isolated. What do we do in this situation? You bring on a striker, a second striker. We saw it in pre-season. He played alongside Michy Batshuayi and it worked very well. When he did bring on a striker, he brought on Olivier Giroud, which in my personal opinion was the worst thing he could have done, because what is Olivier Giroud good at? He's good at winning the ball in the air. He's good at bringing the ball down, controlling it and offloading it to another player, which is also what Tammy Abraham's pretty good at as well. So it was kind of like Frank's decision was to bring on a striker who had a similar game style to Tammy Abraham in that sense. When you're chasing the game, Michy Batshuayi would have offered something a bit more dynamic, and I think that change was wrong, and I think that maybe Ross could have been introduced early. And as we get on into this video, I'm not going to scapegoat Ross Barkley and give him a red. I think that I'll give my reasons in a moment. I'm looking at the screen now. I could actually move into point number 4 now. Ross Barkley is not the man to blame as to why Chelsea didn't win the game yesterday. Yes, he may well be to blame for missing the penalty. What we've seen from Frank so far this season is that he's very good at adapting his tactics to fit the opposition and to fit the way the game is going in play. He's very dynamic and pragmatic with his decision making in that sense, but last night he just wasn't, and every decision he made was poor. Obviously you don't expect to lose one of your most creative players in Mason Mount after 16 minutes. He brings on Pedro. It's in a sense a like for like substitution, but we saw it again last night from Pedro. He's not got it in his locker anymore. He can't deliver for the long periods of the game. He's great to bring on with 30 minutes to go, and having that creativity to come off the bench would have been great for 30 minutes when Valencia started to tire, but when the game is in the balance, Pedro was on for the majority of it and he didn't offer anywhere near enough yesterday. I would have bought on Michy. Tammy, he wasn't playing very well, and if we're talking about football as a meritocracy, and that's what Frank wants to do, he wants to put players in based off of merit. Based off of Tammy's performance yesterday, he didn't have enough going for him, so therefore I would have bought him off or had him up front alongside Michy Batshuayi. I'm sure we're going to see a bit more tactical flexibility as we move on throughout the season from Frank, but last night he's going to have to hold his hands up and say that he got it wrong. Moving into point number 4, and another thing that was completely and utterly wrong was yet again, sadly, I seem to be saying this every week and it frustrates me because I know how good of a player Azpilicueta has been, and unfortunately I've got to be realistic on this channel and I've got to state when something is wrong. The penalty situation yesterday, the reason I've said I'm not blaming Ross is because there is only one player who needs to come in and make his point heard in that situation yesterday. It's Azpilicueta. If VAR is spending 5 to 10 minutes making us bored to death in the stadium, although some people said it was exciting, for me it's very frustrating, and the VAR argument, we could spend all day talking about it. Obviously yesterday Chelsea were on the right end of a VAR decision, so the majority of Chelsea fans will be biased towards VAR right now. Understandable. For me it was boring. Azpilicueta had more than enough time to get the players together whilst the referee's making a decision, make it very clear who is the penalty taker. Apparently Frank Lampard has come out and said that Ross Barkley, when on the field, is his designated taker. There might be a reason why Jorginho was going up to him, Willian was going up to him, Tammy wanted the penalty. Welcome to the video, Stanford Fridge. Thank you for coming. He's just started talking to us. Azpilicueta's role as captain is to make sure these conversations don't exist. If Frank Lampard can't run on the pitch and say, you are my man to take the penalty, it's Azpilicueta's responsibility as the Chelsea captain and the most senior player in the squad to go over to all of these players who are trying to get the ball for the spot kick and say it's either yours, Ross, or it's Jorginho's, or whoever else it may be who's entered the conversation on the training field. Yes, Ross Barkley's penalty wasn't very good. I've spent a lot of time in pre-season saying good things about Ross, and since then I've also criticised him. That's just the nature of football. People go through peaks and troughs in their form, and as a fan who's just analysing from the side and who's passionate about things, I'm allowed to say that it didn't work out for Ross. It was a poor penalty, and when you grab the ball and you make it yours, you have to vindicate that by scoring, or at the bare minimum, Ross, you've got to hit the target. He ran up to the ball so nonchalantly, and he's hit it awfully. It's an awful strike. If it was a goal kick, it would have been semi-decent, but it's a flipping penalty in a game that we're losing. If we score the pen, who knows what could happen, but it's football, and when you don't score, you then have to deal with the consequences, and sadly, in the case of the George Benson football channel and 50,000 of you lot, Azpilicueta's red box due to a lack of leadership, and also his performance wasn't great last night, but we'll maybe move on to that later on in this video, sadly. Azpilicueta is box number 4. Box number 5, alright, I'm going to get frustrated now. Francis Coquelin should be banned from Stamford Bridge. The guy's an idiot, I'm sorry. He came and got schooled by Eden Hazard, and he's clearly a little bit butthurt about it because he's been a meme for the last goodness knows how long. Comes to Stamford Bridge, takes one look at Mason Mount saying, oh, you could potentially do that to me too, and I'm a bit embarrassed, so he goes and tries to break his flipping ankle. Disgusting tackle. I'm not saying he meant to do it, but I kind of am. Idiot. And as you can see on the screen right now, what we understood last night and what we learned from this game last night is that when you take Mason Mount, a player who people are saying, oh, he's not good enough, he's not ready. When you take him out of this team, you lack so much creativity in the final third. The way that Mason works off the ball is better than probably anybody in this current Chelsea team. And last night, it was a lack of movement, a lack of opportunity when a man's in possession to offload it, to progress the play moving forward. Mason Mount's disappearance due to an injury was the real issue last night as to why Chelsea didn't create enough clear-cut chances, and we learned how important Mason is to this Chelsea team. I sent him a message on Instagram. He says that he hopes it isn't too bad and he feels quite good about things today. So hopefully Mason can be back in contention, maybe to start against Liverpool, maybe to start next week. But we need him in this team because he's so key to Chelsea creating chances, and he's also our second top scorer. So Tammy's not bagging him in. Mason needs to contribute there. So point number 6, and I can't believe I've resorted to making YouTube videos where I put pictures of turtles, sloths and snails in a red flipping box. I'm 25 years old, what am I doing? We were too slow last night. Everything was so mundane. It was walking pace. It was awful in that sense last night from Chelsea, and I know people will get frustrated because it's only 1-0, it's fun. Come on guys, if you were watching the same game of football as me last night, you'll see there was a lot of space available for Chelsea, but the players weren't making the moves to do so. When Azpilicueta and Alonso were getting forward, they weren't pushing anywhere near high enough up the pitch. If we compare us to our opponents this coming weekend, Liverpool, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Andy Robertson, they're often so far up the field, they're some of the furthest players forward to get the crosses in. We weren't pushing the line enough last night. Valencia was sitting back, we weren't pressing, we weren't using the width that was given to us, and in the end, like I said at the start, Kondogbia was able to control the game in the middle because we weren't offloading the ball soon enough. I've said it countless times this season, I said it at the end of the match log. We make decisions 3 or 4 seconds after we should be, which means that the opportunity that we had has gone. The space has gone, Valencia win the ball, and that is why we couldn't get the passes together. It was way too slow, not using that full width, and that is why Chelsea didn't win the game. So yeah, that is the 6 things that I learned from Chelsea versus Valencia. I'm not going to be doing a separate Chelsea fans react video. I may kind of incorporate things into a match preview with Liverpool that we learned and that you guys have stated as a result of watching that match last night. Yet again, I will say this, I'm not going to have it as an extra, but it kind of is. Chelsea are a little bit unlucky, aren't we? We've got all of these injuries, players coming back and then getting another little niggle to keep them out. Kante and Rudiger I'm talking about here. Liverpool at the weekend, it's the disaster fixture, really, if I'm being completely and utterly realistic and honest with you guys. We weren't good last night, and there are some alarming things. Frank still hasn't won a game at Stamford Bridge as Chelsea manager. We're in the middle of September, and we've got the best team in Europe right now, although they were beaten last night 2-0 as well, so slightly worrying for them, but Napoli, slightly different gravy to Valencia, if I'm being completely honest. Well done to Valencia, and after all of the stuff that was going on off the field for them, they delivered for their fans last night, which was great for them, but I'm a Chelsea fan. This badge is blue. I'm just going to turn off the fridge. It's like a child. It's like you tell it off and tell it not to do it again. Take away its toys, yet it still just... Nah. I control you. So yeah, that is it from me. Chelsea Valencia, it's over now. As I said at the start, I've got tickets for Lille away. That's our next Champions League game. We go to France in desperate need of a win now. Otherwise, well, not only are we going to be looking at second as a best case scenario, but we also might have to start looking at trips in the Europa League, which no disrespect to the competition or some of the other London clubs that are playing in it this week, but I don't really want that. I want to qualify, and last night we've already dented our chances before we've even began. But anyway, as always, is, if you guys enjoy the series, be sure to leave a like rating and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I'll definitely be going through the comments, responding to the comments, liking the comments, getting involved with you guys, carrying on the discussion, because at the end of the day, that is what this channel is all about. Huge thank you again for 50k. We hit it yesterday, and if you haven't checked out the match vlog, I definitely advise going and doing so after this. If not, you could watch Tottenham in... No, don't do that. Just don't watch Tottenham in the Champions League. Just stay on the George Benson football channel. Great idea instead. Catch you all later. Goodbye.